Welcome to the Coping Podcast, where we share strategies for coping with the stressors of life, especially the difficulties of parenting. And here is your host, Dr. Lee Weiss.
This is Dr. Lee Weiss. I am the host of the Coping Podcast, where I feature top experts on topics like raising healthy children, parenting, and so much more. Past guests include therapist Ben Kessler, dietitian Lara Field, trauma therapist Dr. Michelle Cutler, and neuropsychologist Dr. Lisa Novak. This episode is brought to you by Coping Partners. Coping Partners is a mental health practice in the Chicago suburbs dedicated to helping children, adolescents, and adults. We help manage various challenges, including anxiety, divorce, behavioral issues, relationship problems, and much more. Check out more episodes of our podcast and our website at copingpartners.com, and you can contact us with any questions you have. Just a quick disclaimer, the information provided is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not intended to provide mental health treatment and does not constitute a client-therapist relationship. The information provided is not a replacement for being assessed and evaluated by a licensed professional and is not intended to replace mental health or medical advice. So before introducing today's guest, I just wanted to give a big thank you to David Kerpel, a wonderful family law attorney who I have collaborated with on cases because he introduced me to his wife, Erin, who's one of the founders of Gratitude Generation. Nicki, Sutherland, and Erin Kerpel are two of the 5 founders of Gratitude Generation, a group that provides community service opportunities to the Chicagoland area and helps the recipients as well as the volunteers. Nicki is a former English teacher and the executive director, and Erin is a former school psychologist and currently the director of programming. So thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
I know whenever I tune into the news, whether it's the local news or the national news, I find it fairly depressing. And I know that despite that feeling, we each have to do something in our own small way to do good into this world. And I just want to say, I'm so happy you're here today because I think you're not only doing good, but you're also teaching kids how to make positive impacts themselves. So I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing and that you're here today to be with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about how this all began. Where did this idea come from?
Yeah, the idea stemmed from a single Facebook post by one of our co-founders, Lisa Sanders. She posted on this big moms group here in the Chicagoland area and, pretty much said, my daughter, she's acting spoiled. I want to teach her how to give back. Anybody else want to get together, do an event, and, we can teach our kids how to give back. There were hundreds of moms that responded to this Facebook post and all, had the same feeling. We tend to think, I think as parents that we're all just dealing with this, one thing with our child when we all are going through the exact same thing. And so that really resonated from that one Facebook post. And she put together a meeting. And at the first meeting, there were about 22 of us around a big table. Nobody knew each other, and there were all these ideas going around the table. I met Lisa for the first time that night and was sitting across from her and just looking around. And after all of that, I looked at her and I was like, we need to start a nonprofit. We could do some really cool stuff here. And so it went from there. And, this one little idea, and we did a first event where we got kids involved in giving their toys back to others. And it has spiraled, and it has spiraled with really cool events, mostly because of Erin here. And she has just this creativity and brilliant knack for finding really unique ways to partner with other organizations.
Wow. That's amazing to see, like you said, one idea in one Facebook post, right? And how, when you get enough like-minded people with that passion, you're able to really make a difference. And I'm sure that thought resonated because right? In most areas where people have a lot,
Yeah.
it's hard to not raise spoiled kids. And
Yes.
I say that lovingly, like being spoiled doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could be that
Yeah.
they're what's the word? They have gratitude for all the blessings they have. But
Yes.
it's very hard to not also lose sight of the big picture and how much we all do have. So what a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
And I think one of the things that has stuck out the most in terms of what our kids have come to realize, and by our kids, I mean the teens and all the kids that participate in our events,
Right.
is they don't have to go very far to find significant need. They don't have to
Yes.
travel to
Mhm.
another country. They don't have to go to the city. There's significant need, 15 or 20 minutes from where they live,
Mhm.
which I don't think many of them knew
Yeah.
prior to
Mhm.
starting with us.
Oh, wow. No, it's really eye-opening to see,
Mhm.
what they can do within their own community even.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. So what were the early days of Gratitude Generation like, and maybe some of the first events that you guys did?
Yeah, the early days were, I mean, and still are, a lot of literal sweat and hard
Physically
work
lifted.
and talking all the time to each other to try to figure out how to do this. I mean, literally, it was started from reading a book, how to start a nonprofit and following the
That's awesome.
directions. Um, and it's been, it existed out of our homes and our garages, and we took up closets, and our husbands, were tried to be patient with us. And we now are in our own space here for the past year and are so grateful to have this opportunity to, give back in even a bigger way now, and have more options because of the space that we have. So things have changed a lot because back in the beginning, Erin was having to find all kinds of places where we could do events and
Mm.
where we could do, things where we would pack things for others or what have you. And, when we were working just really on our own funds, it was very, very hard.
Right. Right. No, it's amazing. And what year did it start in?
We started in 2018. So
Okay.
we have hit our 5-year mark
Yeah,
and
that's so exciting.
have grown
So exciting.
tremendously.
It seems like it. Yeah, as a psychologist, I often recommend that one of the ways people can cultivate gratitude for the blessings they have is to volunteer.
Mhm.
So it's wonderful to see that you guys have made it much easier for people to find, right? Like you said, in their backyard, ways to volunteer in small ways or in big ways. I know the events kind of range. Can you give an example of an event, again, no matter how small or big, where you've seen the impact on the giver, on the volunteer?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about the program that we're in the middle of right now, Valentine's Meals for Veterans.
Mhm.
That came from our teen board. The first event that we did for veterans was an idea from our teen board, one of our first teen boards many years ago. And they did it surrounding Thanksgiving. So they held a big event and they provided Thanksgiving meals
Mhm.
to 50 or 60 people on active duty. And it was wonderful and heartwarming and really seemed to resonate with both the givers and the recipients.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to maintain that program. And what we came to learn was that, like many other communities in need, veterans are fairly well taken care of around Thanksgiving
Mm.
and the winter holidays. But come January and February, the food pantries, a lot of them are empty, and there's much less support. So we modified their program a little bit and turned it into Valentine's Meals for the Veterans. And the amount that this program has grown every year is just unbelievable. Last year, we hit our goal for the first time, which was providing meals for 550 veterans or people on active duty. And it was wonderful that we were able to hit that goal, which was basically everything that the organization, all the people that the organization supports, we were able to provide a meal for.
Wow.
Um, this year, we're surpassing that goal by hundreds. And seeing the different groups in the different communities, whether it's Girl Scouts donating cookies, schools working as a school or individual classrooms to make cards and provide their own meals. individual families. Like the amount of different groups and communities and families that participate in this program is unbelievable. And we have come to get to know a lot of the veterans that are recipients for the meals, and hearing their stories, and hearing how much this impacts them, and how much they appreciate the thought and the time and the effort that is put into this program. It's really neat to see the full circle.
Oh my gosh, it's so inspiring to hear that you're again teaching these kids to identify a need. Like I love that because of course it's true that we know Thanksgiving and Christmas time are times where probably everyone's trying to think about things they can do to give back, but there are obviously months where the food pantries are really struggling more. But it's so cool that you teach them how to identify a need and that there is power in groups, right? In numbers to come together and really make this happen, right? It's truly inspiring. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's like with your own families or with some of these teen groups, but have you heard the kids and the teens sort of say, what it means to them? Have you heard their story at the end of the day?
Yeah, especially from the teen board. I feel like that's where we get the most feedback. Kids that have been on the teen board since we started, so some have been on it for 5 years, and seeing them change and seeing, everything that they have been exposed to now that they would not have been exposed to. One of our past teen board presidents actually decided to go into nonprofit, like she's in college now, and that's what she wants to do with her life. So seeing the impact that we're having on these kids and showing them what, like you're saying, what the needs are and how they can improve and, make a difference in somebody's life.
Right. Right. And how it spirals in such a positive
Right.
direction. Yeah. No, I think about, social media and I think about just how teens these days they tend to be self-focused in general, right? Just developmentally, not their fault. And then with TikTok and with, Instagram and just all these, they're all taking selfies. It's a self-focused time. And I think about how sometimes these teens think about what they're lacking relative to their peers and even adults, right? When we're scrolling mindlessly on Facebook or something like that, can see the luxurious vacation that their friends had and start to go, oh, I wish I had that, right? It's natural. But we know that comparing doesn't do good, right? For mood and for how we're feeling about ourselves. And so it's really nice to think about them, not just thinking about what they're lacking, but really getting outside of their bubble and thinking about what they actually do have and how they can help others who really do need it more and really are lacking in some of the, like you said, the basic needs. Um, it's interesting. There's a lot of research with older adults about how volunteering reduces depression and provides adults with a sense of purpose. But I think it helps with all ages. So I was just curious if you kind of have witnessed that too.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's so many different kids, adults. I mean, just even myself. I mean, starting Gratitude Generation helped me out of, bit of depression that I was in. And so being able to give back to others is huge. And then giving back to others through everything that we did after the 4th of July shooting in Highland Park. We really put on a lot of different events and did this very big series of just healing through gratitude and came together. And I mean, within a little over a week, we saw about 500 volunteers that, helped us in various different ways and all the different things that we were doing. And every single person was coming up to us and was so grateful for just having a place to go, a place that they could feel like they were doing something to help, because obviously the event was so traumatic to even people that weren't there.
Right.
And
everyone felt really paralyzed, like they couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you gave them permission to do something with that feeling instead of just sitting with it.
Yeah. And that we make it open for even kids to come, parents or even adults, older, younger, whatever, everybody's welcome with or without kids. To volunteer with us. But, being a place where even the youngest can come in and participate is a very unique, opportunity, and the whole reason that we started this.
Yeah.
So, having that opportunity so that parents had something. I mean, there were people that drove up to an hour away to come
Wow.
to our volunteer events, and to help after all of that had happened. So it was
Wow.
amazing. And we were able to really be together as a community of
Yeah.
volunteers giving back and healing together.
Right. And just the being together part,
Yeah,
connecting in a time
Yeah.
of trauma, I'm sure by itself was healing. And then like you have the added layer of you're actually doing something again to
Yeah.
to feel a little bit more in control at a time where it was pretty awful. What were some of the events or some of the things that you did during that time?
Talk about it.
Sure.
So one of the things that we did was we started painting kindness rocks
Oh,
that we had just intended to put around different parks in Highland Park and put them on the beach and have volunteers go spread them around to brighten the residents' days that live in Highland Park. The amount of people that wanted to paint these rocks and create rocks on their own, create rocks here with us. We had hundreds, we had thousands. I don't even know how many rocks we had, but way more than we could sprinkle at a few parks and on the beach. And so we now actually have a permanent kindness rock garden in downtown Highland Park. So it's filled with all the rocks that were created here. And it's meant to be interactive so people can go at any point and take a rock or leave new rocks. So that was something completely unexpected for me. I thought, we'd have 50, maybe 100 rocks that we'd sprinkle around, and people really enjoyed that opportunity. And then the other really big one was we provided thank you gifts for all of the surrounding firefighters, police officers, healthcare workers. We ended up doing something also for Highland Park also, but we really wanted to thank all the surrounding communities that came in to support Highland Park in the weeks to follow, that day and in the weeks to follow. So we provided, I can't even remember how many it was right now, but 1,000 plus gifts to different police officers and firefighters. So those were huge.
incredible.
So the volunteers helped assemble everything and deliver them. And we got donations from different companies that helped support that program. So it was great.
And a massive effort that it took from so many volunteers to not just pack them, but to organize them here at the office into piles and to make sure we were taking them, out to all the different communities that weren't even necessarily just down the road. So people drove them all over the place.
And then the feedback that we got, the thank you cards that we got from the recipients, talking about how grateful they were to receive the recognition and the thank you, and to know that someone, was noticing what they were doing and the effort that they were putting in.
Right.
It was great.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the gratitude that we got back is just so, we're grateful for them. They were grateful for us. I mean, one particular police officer reached out to me and said that he had come to work that evening on the night shift, and he was really depressed about his job and wondering why he was doing it. And he came in and there were water bottles and treats left. And he said the first thing was, he's like, there's nothing ever left for the night shift. When people come in, he's like, the day shift takes what they take. And he's like, there's never everything left. He's like, not only that, he's like, and then I open it up and there's a personal thank you card in it. He's like, it just made my night. He's like, I put that thank you card on my desk, and he's like, I'm going to remind myself of how much I'm appreciated. Like, it was everything to hear that.
It's so touching. And, again, I'm sure in the day to day, these professionals are burnt out, right?
Yeah.
And they are depressed, and having someone recognize them and appreciate them and be grateful for the work that they're doing to serve the community has to mean the world to them. And like you said, keep them going.
Yeah.
There's a book that I read with little kids about how to fill your bucket.
Yeah.
You guys have heard of that book? And it just reminds me, what you're describing reminds me of that, because anytime you do something nice to someone else or for someone else, it's not that you're doing it in order to receive something back, right? That shouldn't be the goal.
Exactly.
But guess what happens, right? You do something kind unto others and it spreads, and it's truly a remarkable thing. And it sounds like that's what you're saying, like these rocks. I mean, wow, did they spread, right?
Yes.
And in
Mhm.
such a positive way that you're spreading good.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been remarkable. I mean, that's the difference with, when you say somebody's grateful or you're thankful, right? Gratitude is something that you can spread and that keeps going around. And when somebody's affected by it, they in turn put it towards somebody else and it just keeps going and keeps growing, which makes it, that much more special.
Incredible. And especially this young adult that you're describing who now is probably going to devote her
Yes.
professional
Right.
future, right, to
Mhm.
carrying on a nonprofit.
Exactly.
Pretty amazing.
Mhm.
Um, what would you say in your personal lives or in your past professional lives, because both of you have had related careers, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Um, what are things that you've done, habits to again to always have gratitude and spread kindness, things like that, and promote these messages? 'Cause I don't think this is a coincidence that you were both the ones to spearhead this.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I worked with teenagers for 11 years in the high school setting. And, I was talking about service to them. And the teenagers I worked with thought that that meant community service.
Mhm.
So different. And so I was always trying to explain that. But, I've always been somebody that's wanted to give back. And, I'm one of the teenagers I worked with is now my daughter. So, I mean, that's just a whole other story and just explains a little bit about who I am. But yeah, no, it's always been a dream of mine to start a nonprofit too and to be able to give back in even a bigger way and serve the community. So,
Incredible.
And
And
for
how
me,
about for you, Erin?
I've always been involved in stuff since high school, giving back. I never dreamed of starting a nonprofit. I never thought this was where I would end up. But like you said, I think just like-minded people coming together. It's definitely been a whirlwind. And, like Nicki said earlier, none of us knew each other starting this. So it's crazy to think that 5 people who didn't know each other prior to coming together from this Facebook post we're able to meet and balance each other so well and support each other and create gratitude generation.
mhm.
Incredible. And do you find that the kids and the teens, like you're describing these boards, are they finding friendship in the
Oh yeah.
group? Like, what are you noticing in terms of other benefits to them?
Yeah, we've specifically had one teen board member who she's been struggling in her school setting, but gratitude generation has been a real great outlet for her.
Mhm.
And, it's always so welcoming and so loving. And her mom specifically said that to us. And, they're just such great kids and you're coming together to do good together. So it's
Mhm.
just a great feeling, a great place to be. So
Yeah.
to have that outlet, even when you're struggling in another setting is, I think,
Yeah,
especially amazing for teenagers going through that.
for sure. And like they're bonding over a similar shared interest.
Yeah.
It just seems like such a neat opportunity for
Mhm.
connection,
Yeah.
amongst these different age groups too. And even for older kids and younger kids to be able to connect. Because again, it sounds like all ages are really coming together for this purpose. How neat.
Yeah, I mean, we really can have 5-year-olds and, teenagers working together on the exact same project, and we figure it out and we make it work.
Incredible. And again, such good opportunities for leadership and for role models who are again, modeling such wonderful qualities that we hope all our
Mhm.
kids will
Yes.
adopt. What is coming up in the near future for you guys? What events, what things can people look out for and sign up for?
Yeah. I mean, we have always a lot of volunteer events on our calendar, and our calendar on our website is welcome for anyone to volunteer of any age. We do have some events where we have to put, an age minimum on it, but we try to make them open to everyone as much as possible. And you just sign up and you show up. It's really that easy for any of our volunteer events on our website. And we have our giant fundraiser coming up in 2 weeks from today. There are 6 days left to buy tickets for that. We are having our 5th-year anniversary benefit. And it's
Congratulations.
going to just be a really fun night celebrating how much we've done over the last 5 years.
How wonderful to have a celebration because you definitely deserve it. And everyone, again, from someone who's gone to one event to someone who's started it, really should take stock in what they've created.
Yes. It's really taken a giant community of people, not just the original 5 of us. I mean, we have, what would you say, like 24 chair people?
At least, yeah.
On our website, at least. They run different programs for us, from stuff as little as like collecting for our mac and cheese drive to like running all of our pad stuff, when we do those on Sundays. And we have amazing community of volunteers who has made this possible.
Incredible. Well, I'm so glad that you have that coming up. That's really, really exciting. Any other, so the 6 days left if people want to go to your website and sign up for that. Any other volunteering events kind of coming up in the next month?
Yeah, we have lots of different events coming up. Remembering them is the hard part. You
got to go to the calendar.
Yes, this weekend we are packed with, we have a kindness rock decorating. Our kindness rock chair is very skilled at decorating rocks and has different techniques. So she is teaching different techniques for Valentine's Day. So they'll be decorating Valentine's rocks, and some will be added to our kindness rock garden. And then Sunday is filled with Valentine's meals for the veterans festivities. So from 10 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll be busy with that program. We support Northern Illinois Food Bank once a month. So we go there and help distribute food. So that's actually this afternoon. We have that. Like Nicki said, we do PADS events once a month where we're putting together care packs that are given to some of the shelters to distribute. And we set up the beds and help with the dining. So yeah, we constantly have all different events that are supporting all different areas of need. So
I'd say our biggest one that is coming up, but it just feels so far away, is always we do our school supply packing program in the summer. And it takes a huge amount from our community too. Because for most of our big events, we not only do it where we purchase the supplies and we have people come in and pack them together, but also we put it out to the community where people can sign up to sponsor a student, and they can take their kids to the store. They just, can go on their own, and they fill the bags with all the supplies that are needed. And then they just drop it off at one of our community drop-off locations. We have drop-off locations in at least 10 different communities. So we make it really open, and that takes a lot of help from the community to make how many hundreds of backpacks do we do every year?
400 at least we'll do this year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And we pack them with every single thing the kid needs for school.
Incredible. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. Well, I know, again, one of my exercises that I do with kids in therapy is we talk about at the end of each night, just having a little notepad by your bedside and jotting down 3 things that you're grateful for, which really does, again, help with mood. And I know for me, I'm going to tonight on my list say, I'm very grateful to have had this conversation and to be able to let folks know that the good work you're doing. It's really inspiring. So thank you so much. And you can learn about all of their future events and how to get involved by going to gratitudegeneration.org. And please check out more episodes of our podcast by going to copingpartners.com and clicking on podcast and articles. Thank you both so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for listening to the Coping Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes. And check out our podcast page at copingpartners.com.